adventure, sports, outdoors. With host Harry Canterbury.
There I was, back in the wild again, and I felt right at home where I belong. I had that feeling coming over me again, just like it happened so many times before. Yeah.
Hi, Harry Canterbury with another edition of Adventure Sports Outdoors. Join us today as we see something that everyone should see. The crash site of Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. We took a nice vacation, went out east and saw a lot of things. And we're going to do a little fishing down in the Ozarks for some crappies. And I'm here with one of my favorite little things. This is a chocolate Labrador, and I'm here with Krissy Evans from Sherman, Illinois. And we're going to show you what these dogs become, and that is great hunters. But before they get to that point, they're the most lovable things that you could ever get your hands on, and I'm holding one right here. So stay tuned today for a great show.
Adventure Sports Outdoors, brought to you in part by Corsaw Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield, Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway. Mike O'Brien, Remax Commercial, Traders Unlimited Commercial. Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily. Christopher Coin Gun and Pawn LLC, 333 Derby Street in Pekin. And by Lewis and Clark Outpost, fishing equipment, antiques, collectibles, and much more, located west of Tremont on the south side of Route 9. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.
We're going to go to Shanksville, Pennsylvania, a place that is really a place where everyone should see, to see what these terrorists did to us on 9/11 15 years ago. It was a very emotional time. My wife and I were on vacation, and we made a big point to stop at Shanksville. But I think you'll find this piece interesting and very moving.
We're at a very special place, a place of honor. And it's the place where Flight 93 went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania 15 years ago. And a lot of people died. It was a terrible event. But our government has found it a worthy place to make it a, well, what is the title of it? What would you call
we're
it?
a national memorial, and we're actually a unit of the National Park Service. We are the only site of the three sites from the crash from September 11th that is part of the National Park Service. Now, as the morning events began to unfold, of course, the American Airlines Flight 11 hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center at 8:46. Most of the other flights, the terrorists, the hijackers, made their moves sooner. But Flight 93 had reached almost all the way over to Cleveland before the terrorists made their move and advanced on the cockpit door and gained access to the controls of the plane. We don't know the status of the pilots. They are simply referred to as incapacitated. Captain Jason Dahl, the pilot, had the foresight to key open the microphone, and you hear his shouts, "Mayday, Mayday, get out of here, get out of here." And that alerts the air traffic control tower in Cleveland that another plane has indeed been hijacked. After the terrorists gained access to the cockpit, the passengers were sent to the back of the plane, and they were pretty much left unattended. They began to make phone calls using airphones on the back seats of the planes and gathered information. One of the passengers, Tom Burnett, we know made 4 phone calls. Each phone call he made was less than 2 minutes. He was calling his wife, a former flight attendant, and getting information from her. And he was on the phone with her, and she told him about the crash of the Flight 77 into the Pentagon at 9:37, and that really was a turning moment for the passengers and crew, because they knew that they were going to be flown into a building somewhere. They no longer believed that they were going to be returned to an airport and political demands met, as was typical with what you would consider an average takeover or hijacking in 2001. From the back of the plane, they gathered information. They took a vote, which I find incredible, that right there, under the gaze of the terrorists, they put democracy into action and took a vote and decided to fight back. And we know this again, that they waited until they were in a rural area, again from those phone calls, and that they were going to do something. And they waited. And when they made their move at 9:57, they fought for 6 minutes in the fight of their lives, going down a narrow center aisle. And we know it was a group effort, because many of the people who were on phones told their loved ones. Sandy Bradshaw was on the phone with her husband and told him, "They're heading up to first class now, I have to go." But she didn't hang up, she simply set the phone down and joined in that rush down the aisle up to first class. We know flight attendants were boiling water from the rear kitchen galley to throw on terrorists. They were using all their resources and everything they had that they could use as a weapon, and their skills and determination to get into that cockpit and try to get control of the plane. However, we know that the terrorists remained at the controls the entire time. Approximately a half hour later, they took over at 9:26. Flight 93, as it came across this area directly in front of where we are now along the flight path, was traveling approximately 563 miles an hour, and it was inverted, about 270-degree angle. The terrorists had been rocking the plane side to side and tilting the nose up and down to throw the passengers and crew off balance to thwart their attack. But their success was so imminent that there's discussion on the cockpit voice recorder, which was recovered in working condition, where you hear the terrorists discussing what they should do, and they were trained that if they could not reach their target, that they should crash the plane, which is what they did in the field below us here. Eyewitnesses in the area, some reported it flying very low as it crossed Route 30 in the town of Lambertsville. And up here on the hill where we're standing today, there was a scrap metal yard, and an eyewitness who was outside working, cutting a car apart, heard the plane coming, thundering down upon him. But at the speed that it was traveling, it happened so fast, it was within seconds. As he turned and looked and saw the plane coming over, it had crashed. And no one actually really witnessed the crash, although there is a picture taken of the heat plume, and you can see debris scattered in that heat plume with nearly over 5,000 gallons of jet fuel still in the tank of United Flight 93. It was a tremendous explosion. Debris was lifted on the heat plume and scattered, with prevailing winds that day, scattered debris for miles. As the news of the morning's events began to spread, of course, family members began to be notified. They first came to the crash site and could not actually get down to the area because of the investigation, and viewed the crash site from up on a hill up above here at a temporary memorial. One of our big jobs is school group visits and educational programs so that they learn about the courageous actions and they don't forget, and they understand the story and the legacy. What the passengers and crew on Flight 93 did that morning in the skies above us is remarkable. They saved and changed the world.
Hello, my name is Clarence Caldwell. I'm a volunteer here at the Flight 93 Memorial. It's one of my privileges now that I'm retired to be able to do that and to interpret this for visitors who come. We've had all kinds of people here. There is a retired Marine Major General, a 2-star general, who brings his young men out here, and they're all Iraqi and Afghanistan wounded vets. And he tells them in no uncertain terms that this is where the war on terror began. When these people on this plane, people like you and me, no different than you and me, when they said, "You're not going to do that to my country," and they rose up in arms and they tried to bring this plane down. And if you look over my shoulder, that is the actual crash site back in the background, where these people, fellow citizens, you and me and other people just like us, who said, "You're not going to do that to my country," and they died for us.
That United 93 calling. Sector 956, that aircraft we believe was transmitting is 12 o'clock, climbing 5 miles, turn left heading 225. I'll get you away from him. Okay, he's climbing, so I want to keep everybody away from him. That aircraft you can't get a hold of, has he turned to the east now? He's just turned to the east also. United 93, you're here Cleveland Center.
Tuesday, 9:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I don't know what to say. There's 3 guys. They've hijacked the plane. I'm trying to be calm. We're turned around, and I've heard that there's planes that's been flown into the World Trade Center. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
End of message.
Hi, I'm Dave Barth with your Sportsman's Tip of the Week. With ammo prices getting higher and higher almost on a daily basis, you might want to consider reloading, especially rifle and pistol shells. It doesn't take that much of an investment and that much equipment to get started. You need a reloading press, you need a powder scale, a powder measure, and dies. A nice accessory to have is a case tumbler. Of course, you need media for the tumbler. It's not a necessity that you have to have something like this, but it just cleans your brass and you get a good looking cartridge when you're done. Now, if you want to save some money, you can buy all of this equipment in a kit, and it's everything you need to start reloading except a set of dies. I'm Dave Barth with your Sportsman's Tip of the Week.
It's the Chicagoland Fishing, Travel, and Outdoor Expo, January 28th through the 31st at the Schaumburg Convention Center in Schaumburg, Illinois.
Hey, we're going to go down to the Ozarks with Fred Hackney, a good friend of mine and my videographer's father. He's been going down to the Ozarks for many, many years. He knows where the crappies are at and he knows how to catch them. So check this part out. Hey, we're in the backyard of Fred Hackney, my buddy over here, and his brother Larry and Jim McDowell. These guys, every year, more than once, they go down there quite a bit to Lake of the Ozarks and they catch an awful lot of crappie, and we're going to show you a video of what they do down there. But Fred, tell us about your expeditions down there, where you go and what you do. And you guys are really, really good at catching these crappies. You got a secret or something?
Yeah, we got a secret. Spend a lot of time on the water. We go, we fish mainly around the 8-9 mile mark, which is at Lake of the Ozarks, between North Buck Creek Cove and South Buck Creek Cove. We've been going down there since late 70s, early 80s. I lived down there from 1993 to 2003, so I've learned a couple spots. The guys that go with me now don't really need me to guide them. They know the spots too. They've been there enough. But we fish with 16th ounce crappie jig, usually weedless. Drag it across the brush, in the brush, bob it up and down, cast it, hesitate, reel it, hesitate. And you watch that line go slack, or you feel that little bitty tap, or sometimes it's like thunk.
Hard, yeah.
In any different ways, but you just set that hook, and if you miss him, you stop, start over again, and sometimes he'll come right back for the second bite.
Yeah. Jim, your brother, Jerry, who's a friend of mine I've known for 35 years.
Right.
And he's quite a cat fisherman. He's caught a lot of catfish down there. And you've been going with Fred and Larry for a long time, right?
Almost 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice that you're able to go with the same folks?
Well, I'm just now getting on to what they've been doing all the time.
Well, they're keeping it a secret, right?
Yeah. I learned real quick, though, you fish like the locals do or you're not going to catch fish.
Well, they're the guys that know how to do it.
Don't bring your Illinois gear.
Well, Fred was a local. He lived down there half his life.
Right.
He figured it all out. And Larry, you've been going with your brother for all those years too, huh?
Not quite all of them, probably over half of them.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you like spending time down the Ozarks?
Oh yeah, it's a great time.
Yeah.
Great
Not
time.
only great fishing down the Ozarks, but of course it's also a great, beautiful place.
Oh yeah.
A lot of places to go, things to do. You got some great restaurants, and there's a lot of things to do down in the Ozarks. Why did you move back to Illinois?
My wife kind of got, she's from Kansas City, which is 2 hours, two and a half hours from there.
Well, that was one of the reasons you kind of went out there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's one of the reasons we kind of went out there. but she got having the wants for grandkids.
Yeah.
And so we came back just mainly to be around them. And of course, the grandkids were mad at us because they like coming down there.
Oh, yeah.
So it was kind of a catch-22. Do we, you know?
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's like you said, it's a great place to go. It's a wonderful vacation place, but it's also a great place to take kids to learn how to fish.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a lot of fun catching crappies, but Fred puts on, and Larry put on a nice fish fry, and I was at one this summer at Larry's house, and the fish were great. Any secrets to cooking them fish, Larry?
I didn't cook them.
You didn't? Fred did? Oh, okay. He's just using your house, right?
Yep.
So
I watched.
And you watched, huh?
I watched.
Yeah.
Well, tell us, what do you? They're good. I mean, you know how to cook them.
Yeah, we use a propane grill, fry them in, and I cook them mostly in peanut oil. We batter them with Andes. That's our preferred. There's a lot of different dressings, but that's what we prefer. And we just drop them in, and when they start coming up, why,
they're ready to go.
They're ready to go.
Maintain a constant temperature, though. You don't want it to get too hot.
Get too hot, yeah.
Exactly.
Drop them in when the temperatures drop too much.
How many do you fry? How many was that?
At the fish fry Harry was at, I think we fried about 270 sides. And then a month later we had another one, and we fried about 350.
You know, how come it is you go to a fish fry and there's nothing left if they're cooked good? I mean, I mean, eating fish is, man, I tell you what, you can't beat it. I could live on the darn things.
Well, you know, in our family, when we have a fish fry, you got to look out because there's all kinds of other food, and then, of course, the desserts come out, so nobody goes away hungry.
Well, you know, I've been to a lot of places to fish all over the world, in fact, and when you talk to the locals down there, they say, hey, you want to know where to catch the fish, you need to know what they're using, the techniques, the places where the fish are located. Always get a guide for at least one day, if not two, because you're spending an awful lot of money and you've committed yourself to a week here on your vacation, and of course you want to make a successful vacation. So you recommend if a guy goes down to the Ozarks and doesn't know nothing about it, to get a guide for at least one day.
Absolutely. Whenever I would go to a strange lake, I would always get a guide for 2 days, and not for his fish, for his knowledge of the lake, and because all lakes fish different. They're never really all the same, but a lot of times you're fishing the same way, but just a different style of fishing for a different lake.
When I grew up down at Spring Lake, we had a cottage and caught my first bluegill, crappie, bass. And years ago, you could catch those little ring perch. You remember the ring perch? You can put those down there.
Sure.
And I didn't know what they were. They're only about 8 inches long, but that was the ones that you ate.
Those are the good ones.
They're good ones, and they taste like a walleye, you know, because they're the walleye family.
Right.
But I haven't caught a ring perch in years, but I haven't gone down there to try. But you know, it's really important to take these kids fishing and get them interested in the sport, because it gives them an opportunity when they've got nothing to do to go fishing. And I'll tell you what, if you take a kid out and he hooks into a fish, you know, when he's little, like he's 5 or 6 years old, he'll never forget that.
Yeah,
and it'll always give him the opportunity when he's, he'll remember, you know, all that fishing's fun, and he'll go do that. And hey, it keeps a lot of kids out of trouble. Jim, tell us about Jerry. Jerry McDowell. He worked at the Peoria Journal-Star for many years, and I knew all the guys there. You know, Rick Baker, he passed away in, I believe, '85, and Bill Peake, John Armstrong. I knew all those guys down there. Larry Brooks, Jim Kerrigan. We used to have dinner with all those guys at the Peoria Hofbrau, and I didn't know Jerry was a big catfisherman, but he really liked to catch catfish.
He got into it, yeah. He progressed. He started out just a regular rod and reel, and he found out that it wasn't big enough. He'd always catch one to break his line.
Yeah.
So eventually he got Arkansas mud blasters. These giant pulls as big as your thumb, and 50-pound test line on them. And he was serious. If you hooked one, he's going to get it in.
Yeah.
And all the hooks that associated with it and stuff.
So he's got quite an array of catfish catching equipment.
Special clamps that he clamped on these docks to hold his rod until he got a bite.
Yeah.
He could sit down and watch it.
Yeah. Well, Larry, you got some photographs that you can share with us, too, of some of those catfish Jerry got down there.
Yeah, I got some on my phone here. I'll send them over to you.
Yeah, send them over.
And some of the a few of the catfish he caught. I don't have them all. Some of the other guys have some of the bigger fish he's caught. So
yeah. Well, he was had a little issue one time health-wise, and was in a hospital for quite some time. But a couple weeks later, he went right back down there with you, right?
Yes, he was actually in a coma, and when he woke up out of the coma, why the doctor come in and told him, said, well, we got to get you back on your feet. He says, well, you better hurry. I'm going to Lake the Ozarks in 2 weeks. And he did.
He did, huh?
And he did.
Yeah.
And that was a trip that the first 2 or 3 hours he was there, he caught a 72-pound blue and a 50-pound blue.
Wow, those are some
So
nice
Jerry
fish.
was a cat fisherman.
Those are some real nice fish. I want to thank Larry, Jim, and Fred for participating in the show today. We're sitting out here in this fall day. Hey, this Saturday is duck season. I'm looking forward to that. And of course, fall time is a great time to catch those crappies.
Adventure Sports Outdoors, brought to you in part by Corsaw Lumber, manufacturers of quality hardwood products, buyers of standing timber in Smithfield, Central Pool Supply, everything from pools to pool tables and much more in Peoria on West Pioneer Parkway.
Mike O'Brien, Remax Commercial, Traders Unlimited Commercial.
Kelleher's Irish Pub and Eatery, located on Peoria's riverfront, open 11 a.m. daily.
Christopher Coin Gun and Pawn LLC, 333 Derby Street in Pekin. And by Lewis and Clark Outpost, fishing equipment, antiques, collectibles, and much more, located west of Tremont on the south side of Route 9. Our thanks to all of these sponsors.
I'm here with Krissy Evans from Sherman, Illinois, originally from Springfield. And for quite a while, she's been raising dogs and training dogs, and it's become her profession over the last few years. Tell us a little bit why you got started and what you're doing, Krissy.
I started out, my dad was a hunter, so he kind of got me turned on to the whole dogs. He had a couple litters when we were growing up, and when I got into hunting, I ended up buying a lab, and it all went from there. So
yeah, well, you sure got some beautiful dogs, and of course you brought three little, we're going to show them to you here in a minute, but she brought 3 chocolates that are what, 8 weeks old?
They'll be 8 weeks on Saturday.
And my wife told me, she says, under no circumstances do you bring another dog home. I got Teddy Bear, and he's 10 years old, and we've had labs, since I was 6 years old. And a Labrador, in my opinion, is one of the greatest dogs on the face of the earth. They make great companions. That's just from my heart that Labradors are really, really a super, super dog. Now, some of these dogs that go up to the airports and stuff, are they all black? Or what's the best characteristics for a dog that works around people?
For a service dog, usually you want a dog with a calm demeanor. I mean, obviously, they're going to do search and rescue. They're going to do bomb sniffing. Some of them are trained to detect firearms on an individual. So they need to be well socialed. They need to have an outgoing disposition, so that way they don't cower and they can interact with people very well. And it's just one of those things that people look for, dogs that really aren't scared of anything.
Now we're going to go out there and run a couple of these dogs. It's a lot of fun. I really like it. I'm here with Mike Chumley, and A lot of things have changed since I used to do this. Back when I was a kid, I used to be a bird boy and shoot pigeons and all kinds of things, you know. But it's all changed. There's all sorts of new equipment. And tell us about this thrower. This is something else.
This is a gunner's up thrower, remotely charged through, you know, receiver over there, and you have a transmitter here, sends a signal, and it'll launch out of there once you hit the button. And you also, you know, you can either run a beep,
or you can have
the quack. Basically, that's to get the dog's attention to look over there at it. And then, you know, you can put numerous things in it, from, you know, training ducks that are pin raised, different kind of bumpers and whatnot in there, and then it'll launch it.
Yeah, go ahead and launch that and let's see her do it. That's pretty, and you can set that for different distances.
Yeah, different height. You know, you want them up high so the dog can get a good mark on it.
Now the launcher there is quite a bit different. Now we used to have a launcher, we just like a plunger. You used to pull it.
Yep.
Had a 22 blanket stick in it.
That's they still have, a different company has those as well. This is basically the same setup. You know, 22 goes inside of there.
22 blank, yeah.
And then you
pop her down.
Plop it down.
Put your dummy on.
Put it on your hip, and then launch it.
And
you know,
she'll go off.
If you're training by yourself, you know, it's a great,
really
great tool.
Yeah. Then, of course, there's the old standbys right there. The you know, plastic dummies, the canvas dummies. I still got some that I've had for 25, 30 years. But this is the old way we used to do it. And there's been a lot of innovation since then.
And yeah, even up to the, you know,
even up to a rubber duck now.
Yep.
You know, that's really quite a deal. Well, hey, thanks, Mike. We really appreciate
no problem.
it, partner.
Thank you.
You bet. Hey, we've got all three of the pups out, and of course they don't have names yet. They're just little, beautiful little puppies. And one of these days they're going to be just like the dogs that we saw out there. And you finish dogs, is that correct too? I mean, or you not personally do it, but you get them started and they're professionally finished.
Right, correct.
And
I do started dogs every year. So if someone wants a dog that's about 10 to 12 months old, and is ready to go out and pick up birds. They've been exposed to birds, gunfire, water. They sit, heel, obedience. But my started dogs are also raised in the house.
Right.
So that's a perk. So you have a dog with manners that comes right into your home.
Yeah, and you don't want to throw him in a kennel. You want to keep him in the house.
Right.
Of course, our dogs are in the house too, and that's where they should be. Mike Chumley, and I asked him if he was any relation to that other Chumley we know about, and no relation, right?
None
at all.
Whatsoever.
Yeah. How long have you been messing around with these dogs?
This would be my third year. I got started just like everybody else. You know, you want a dog for duck hunting, so or any type of hunting, and just.
Yeah, well, they sure are beautiful, and somebody's going to be a real lucky person when they're going to get one of these pups. This one here has been watching Kenny, our videographer, ever since we've been here. I think Kenny's going to take this. But anyway, they're beautiful dogs. And I want to thank you for driving up to Banner Marsh from Sherman. And of course, Mike lives down in Jacksonville. That's about an hour and 20-minute drive. Yeah. Pretty good haul down there, I know. And where do you hunt at?
All over. I actually guide in Northwest Missouri, but I hunt around Jacksonville and some of the state places.
Yeah. I used to do the same, and I'm not doing as much hunting as I used to. I still go, but I used to go every day, because don't ever become a duck hunter. It's a very infectious, it's a sick disease. I mean, it costs a lot of money, and but one of the deals is you get to have one of these, and they're just great. And I can't tell you how much I love Labradors. And you can see why. With a face like that, you can't beat it. Look at that. Isn't that something? Well, hey, thanks for watching another edition of Adventure Sports Outdoors. We'll see you next month.